Welcome everyone to Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews. This is Thomas for you today with the Citroen DS5 Facelift. And it's actually a quite special facelift, not because so much in the technical side has changed, but more of the branding. You see in the front now we got the DS as a single brand. So they want to differentiate it from the general Citroen brand. And today we're taking a look what else has changed here with the exterior, interior, and of course with the driving here with Citroen DS5 in the facelift. The car has been running since 2012 now, so it was actually time for a facelift. And you see here what has major changed is the front. Furthermore, just the front grille itself, because before it was a little bit unstructured, a lot of lines here, then the Citroen logo. You can compare it to the earlier review because we have reviewed the DS5 Hybrid earlier already in the non-facelift version. And so everything looks cleaner here now, more sorted, and you see the DS logo here, so-called the DS wings, they say, is placed in the front now, so it's not to be seen as a Citroen from the front here at least. And there I'm really curious on your opinion. You will see more deals to the car later on in this review, of course, but just from now, would you rather buy this car with the DS logo than with the Citroen logo? I'm really looking forward to your comments on that one. So I really like the new front because it looks more sorted. It's kind of bigger black grille here in this shiny black color and with the DS logo, and also here this chrome look leading towards the huge headlights. I think this is a very good improvement here, be it the DS logo or not. And you see DS stands for a lot of details here, and you see on the top of the headlights we see some artwork here, and that's very beautiful, I think. Looking at the side profile here, not so much has changed with the facelift, it rather remained the same, but still it's already spectacular, especially with the huge glass window here in the rear part. And you see the designer is above the handlebars, and it again looks quite of high class and very different from the other compact class cars. Actually, we're still in the compact class, 4.53 in meters, so it's actually a competitor to the brand internally C4 or, for example, the Volkswagen Golf. But here, it's not a sports model, it's a luxury model, because other manufacturers go for the sports model if they want to do something special in the compact car segment. And this is really a unique luxury model, and hardly anyone else is offering that one in this case. About the alloys, 18-inch in this case, optionally, because from serial production with a small diesel, for example, it comes with 16-inch alloys. Then the high trim has got 17, and these ones here, 18, the optional one. Also, the rear remained rather the same. We got the DS logo here on the back, so we don't see any Citroen logo at all. What is quite astonishing here with the rear lights is that they got this 3D effect that really can go right in here. And so they're also kind of spectacular and unique. DS5 logo here. And in this case, on the other side, we says Hybrid 4.4, because this is actually the hybrid version, and that directly leads us to talking about the engines. So what is special here if we look beneath the hood? First of all, hydraulic dampers check, all right. It's actually quite of clean, it's huge cover on here. This is actually the diesel, in this case 163 horsepower, but here with the hybrid version it's combined with an electric drive. It's not a plug-in hybrid, it's a diesel hybrid where the electric or the battery is charged while driving. It's not the best solution in my case, but actually what you can do is drive some kilometers fully electric than, for example, in the city, if you load the battery before, and so you can maybe have a very silent parking mechanism then when you're close to your home, for example. So the electric drive is driving the rear wheels, the diesel is driving the front wheels, and so we altogether got an all-wheel drive. But in general, I think just like 1/10 of the customers will go for the hybrid, because this one here is already at 42,000 euros, and all the extra equipment we'll soon also show you, will be about, well, 46,000 euros, and that's already very expensive. In general, the car starts at 31,500 euros in Germany, then with a small diesel. So the normal diesel is available with 120, 150 and 180 horsepower. And then we got also petrol engine, 165 horsepower, and later this year there will also be a new petrol engine with 210 horsepower even available. So a lot of engine choices there, and well, I really like the hybrid. We've driven it before, but actually considering the price-performance ratio, I would not go for it. Let's get inside. Door handles from the outside make a very good quality impression already. Now let's sit down. If we first take a look at the seats, no matter how you pick them, they got this special structure here with these transverse elements, let's call it that way, and that really looks very beautiful. Nice piece of handcraft. These ones here are the optional leather seats. It's very expensive. The leather package is about 4,000 euros or more extra in price, so I would not go for it, because if you think about 10 to 15% more of the whole car price just for the leather equipment, and you know I'm against the leather equipment anyway, so I would still go for the fabric seats. They also will do just fine. Just from the visual side, it's a very beautiful piece of craft, and it's the same in the fabric version here, that the head, you see the head restraints are kind of being left open here on the downside. That's also a nice element we find here. So we see a lot of unique styling elements here in the Citroen DS5, and that's kind of what this car is standing for. One thing you directly see when looking above, it's this cockpit style, like in an airplane, and everything is split. It can be a little bit, let's say, strange at the first time, because you see so many windows, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think it's 13 windows, you know, 13 or 14, maybe I forget one. And that's a little bit strange when you see it so fragmented, but on the other hand, it's so special then. So you really have to think, okay, I don't want the ordinary, I want the special stuff, even if it's like not good for the overview, especially here, this cockpit perspective. So what we can control up here is, for example, the shade for the front window, and it's kind of split. It's kind of funny for the right and the left. So you cannot really open it like an opening glass roof, but you can control the shades here. That's kind of funny thing. And then in the middle, there's the button for the rear shade that can actually also be closed. Let I open it again. Here, open and close. So this one, you can really feel like an airplane pilot in here. And one further here is, for example, to flip the head-up display. It's also optional. You see here, this is a small plastic glass for the head-up display. Wait, press it and then it comes out again here. That is one also of the optional features here. And then there are also other controls for the head-up display. For example, the height that is actually in my side of the head-up display. The rest of the interior is also very interesting. So not only the seats, because this cockpit scheme is carried on here over. It's not exactly especially new with the facelift. The general scheme stayed the same. For example, this also kind of twisted element here that is going up. This one is not really hard plastic. It's a little bit soft. It looks actually quite okay. Also here, this cockpit style and with a huge round elements. By the way, just from the haptical side, they have improved this one here. It really feels good. And they are also using real aluminum for the inside of the door handles, or for example here on the cockpit. That's also nice. What is actually new in the facelift here is the new touchscreen. So they've updated the infotainment system, and therefore also 12 knobs could be removed from the whole dashboard here, and that it feels cleaner and looks cleaner, and I really think that helps also with the design. Now is of course the question, do we really need so many buttons? No, we don't, so they could be saved, but what is very good that we can still control the temperature just very fastly. I like it when the temperature can be controlled manually and not only via the touchscreen. Also where actually the vents should lead the air through is also possible still here, or with the air conditioning on and off, that's also with a separate knob. Everything else is done via the touchscreen now. It's also a smartphone integration now available. And if we just look how it really feels or looks like, for example, we can go to the GPS. I think it's maybe not the most modern perspective to zoom in. You have to go very deep here to click the minus or plus button. That's maybe not the best solution then. And we can, for example, adjust the volume here then. And this is for day and night view. Of course, you see nothing with the night view, hardly anything. And you can also turn it off completely, the screen. That's also possible in here. And let's check the drive. This one will be the current information on the screen here. And I'll talk more about later because that's also about the hybrid drive. What else is possible here? You can see we got an analog clock. That's from serial production actually. And also the parking aid is from serial production. Most of the other options are really optional. For example, the GPS, you have to pay extra for it, as usually 1,500 euros. And then if you pick a special connectivity package, then also the smartphone integration is included in that package here. But again, you have to pay extra for it. One look at the instruments, we see in the central we got the tachometer, and because we got the hybrid version here, on the left side we see the hybrid power, if it's charged or if the power is being depleted, and on the right side how full or empty the battery is. And I've talked about the inside of the doors. Again, this DS handcraft here, although it doesn't feel too good just from the surface, and then the real aluminum handles here on the inside. And finally here the automatic shifting lever, and in this case with the hybrid combined with different modes, it's about how you want to use the battery really for the most power, like with sport, or if that EV, zero emission vehicle, if you want to drive electric only, for example, for the last kilometer to your house, for example, or if you really want to stress the all-wheel drive with the electric drive in the rear. And then again, this cockpit scheme here also at the lower part of the console, where you then can control the normal windows. So not for the shades, just for the windows left and right. And about the space you have here on the inside, you see on the inside of the doors you got something, but it's also not too huge. And the glove box here also with this DS opener comes down very softly, but also not too much space here inside the glove box. Then on the middle console we just got a small space here as well, and then if we open the armrest, again not a lot of space. Here's an USB port, by the way, inside here. That's quite good, but in general you see there's not a lot of space where you can actually put things. Here on the left side you see that could be a beverage holder on the left side, aluminum pedals, by the way, that's kind of beautiful. And here on the upper part there's one special hidden space. If you push the upper button here, that's for example for your glasses, but still you see the overall space here we got for small thing is really limited. It's all about design here. This is, by the way, the key. It's a special DS key here as well. I think it's beautifully done also with this DS typical structure here, the surface here. And we found another space here inside. We've shown you before that there's the small space here for the smartphone, but you can also put another button here, and then you got a bigger box, and you can already feel it's going quite deep in here. I can almost put my whole arm in here. It's not the most practical space, but it's actually cool. So you can put some cool beverages in there, or maybe a chocolate bar or something like that to store it there coolly. So let's check the rear compartment, because the car is more about design. Is it also about space in the rear? I think not. The door handles here again, by the way, very solid impression. And also when closing the door, the sound, I think, sounds quite solid, and we don't often have this with French cars actually. So you see the opening is not very far out actually. So, and I got the seat as I would be sitting here. There's no door handle on the upper part here. But you see, as I would be driving 1.86 in meters, it would still be okay knee-wise. I think still okay. However, not too much space for my foot. So actually, I would tell the driver, could you please move up the seat a little bit? Then it's actually better. Just from sitting here, well, you don't have too much space, especially for your head, because of this panoramic roof. I'm hitting my head here at the ceiling. So not really recommendable for huge adults. And also the space I got for my back in general is very limited, I must say. Let's test it when I put on the belt, how it feels then. But, well, I think I've experienced more comfortable compact cars here as for the rear compartment. Again, it's all about the design here, again, with the DS5. And I think this panoramic roof structure is also something very unique for this car. Well, you should not go for it if you really want more headroom here in the backside, but I think that's also maybe not the most important factor for this car. What is very beautiful is that the whole luxury design scheme is also carried all over the rear compartment. They have really worked on that one. So we in general got a quite high quality impression here. So one more detail here on the rear seats. We can put the middle part out. And you see it's also, again, high class and quality here. Very beautiful, this cover here. But what is maybe not that good, you see, it's a holder for the beverages, but it's not really straight. It's falling backwards a little bit, so you shouldn't fill up your cups too high then. That's not the best solution here, I think. And one more thing, we got a ski hatch in here. You can open it and then you can reach out through the luggage compartment. And I already feel and see that this will not promise too much space, but we're taking a look at that right now. So the space in the trunk is already limited here in this design model, and now with the hybrid it's even more limited. You see, because the battery is placed below here as well, we hardly have any space left here. You see, it's kind of nothing. You can open that one below here for just another small space. Behind here is then the compressor to repair the tire, for example, when you've got some breakdown. I mean, well, just some stuff here, and then it's really limited. So again here, all about the design, not about the space in the offering. So let's start the engine. And right now the diesel is being activated because the battery is not that full actually. So we're starting here with the diesel. And that's also the negative side again of the hybrid system, because if it would be a plug-in, I could just plug it in, as the name says, and then start driving. So I now feel the diesel is pulling the front wheels. We got the automatic gearbox in this case, because that's always combined if you got the hybrid system. So again, as I've already told you from the interior, what is special about this car? Well, it's the visibility indeed, because we got so many split windows. It's a little bit strange at the first time you drive it. Of course, now I'm already used to the car because we have had the hybrid here before in the version before the facelift. But again, you have to get used to it because you got so many different windows, and especially here the visibility to the left front and then to the left right. Well, it's a bit splitting, and so I'm not exactly sure. But because we got the separate window in here, at least we cannot miss a whole car usually, and that's quite okay then. In general, the seating position is generally comfortable because the seats, actually I'm quite satisfied with them. And they're actually not too long, so I cannot really recommend them too much for very tall people. That's maybe not the best thing. The steering wheel is totally not about being sporty. It's really this more elegant feeling here, kind of huge also, and doesn't have a really sporty form, although the end here is flattened out. but it looks quite fancy again, and that's again the scheme of the car. I now see the head-up display in front of me, and again can control the height of the display here with the buttons here above me, and that really helps because I then also see the speed always in the line of sight. Now when I lift the throttle, by the way, I already feel I don't have to really brake the car just with a normal brake, because it's loading the battery then, and that actually leaves the normal brake most of the time unnecessary. Of course, you have to be aware that when they stop in front of you, you really have to hammer the brake. But in general, when you're driving in the city and learn this one pedal driving, it's really actually quite a fun that you always see it in your sight, how you can actually load the battery. That's actually quite funny. Just from the differentiation, facelift, non-facelift, the driving is kind of the same. So on the technical side, it didn't do so much of a change. The biggest change is really the design in the front grille, because they want to differentiate DS as the own brand. So from driving doesn't do too much. In general, the driving is really set on comfort. The contact with the steering wheel to the road is not too direct, but it also doesn't feel too soft. It's quite okay. You see, the steering wheel is quite long for what we're doing. So I would prefer a rather sporty steering in this case. The suspension is also set all the way on the comfort, so if we do some right and left leaning texting now, we already feel that the car is leaning a lot to the left and the right, but that's again not the focus. The same if you've seen maybe our Citroen C4 facelift review. I think it's also good that they say, okay, we don't want to be in that sporty direction because there's so many other competitors that can do it better anyway. So we more go to this luxury side of ride. I think that's pretty much fine. So what they have really achieved is that you feel exclusive in this car, although you are not really in the high usual premium segment. Of course, with the hybrid, the car is already very expensive. But I recommend, for example, to go for the petrol engine, the 165 horsepower petrol engine, and then also leave out the leather equipment, and then you got a quite, well reasonably priced car, which is already very exclusive. That would be my tip already, because the driving feeling is kind of the same here. Now I already feel that I am sticking to the leather seats because it's kind of warm here today. So about the flexibility of the engine, for example, we can go to the sport mode here, that I really get all the power of both engines, and then when 100 kilometers, hammer the throttle. Have to wait a little bit. Well, it doesn't come too much actually, so you shouldn't expect too much power out of this hybrid combination. It's more for the city, because in the city this boost from the hybrid then really can help you get a better drive to the front. That is actually very good then, but here for the motorway it doesn't do anything, and also about the charging, it doesn't have really any use then. I can also put it to the four-wheel drive mode, then all the time the battery is being used, but here for the motorway it doesn't really make sense, so I just leave it on the auto mode and let the car itself decide actually what is being done. The sound insulation, I'm not really that satisfied with it actually, because when some cars are passing me here now with 120 kilometers, I'm driving myself, it's actually not feeling too good just from the sound here. It's quite loud here, and I also have to fight against this, all the other noises coming from the outside, so they can actually still work on that. Also, it's not the kind of spacious feeling here. You see, due to the limited headspace, also due to the panoramic roof and to the cockpit atmosphere here. Yes, it is a special atmosphere, but it's also kind of a little bit narrow. And I think you have to really like that. But of course, there are customers for everything, so maybe you even prefer that being a little bit caged in. If you want more space, however, and a more practical car, you can easily go for the Citroen C4. As I told you before, we've reviewed that one here recently as well, so also click in the video description for the Citroen C4 facelift review. That's maybe a better car than for you. But if you're more going for this lifestyle ride, you'll be very much fine with that one. Also, I think the car feels a little bit lower than the Citroen C4 just from the seating position. That's also a differentiation inside the model range. What else can we do here? We can test the cruise control. Let me set it to cruise. And then we can control it with the left side here of the steering wheel. The knobs feel actually quite solid. Not too much high class, but also not cheap, so something in between. And I think that's also the general quality impression while driving here. I think it's something in between. It's not really that most high class feeling ever, but I think I also didn't find a lot of things where I can say, oh, this is bad or something like that. So in general, I'm quite satisfied with the interior here. And you know, I like it when a car is special, so I also feel kind of special when riding it here. So let me conclude on the Citroen DS5 Facelift. First of all, the main purpose, the exterior change and the new branding. I really like it because I love this new front grille. Looks so much more evolved, so much more elegant than the previous version here in the non-facelift. And it was time for a facelift anyway. About the general strategy, well, I think you can actually do that, because if you want to sell a more premium car, it's maybe not directly connected to Citroen, and so it's maybe a good step to put it in the DS brand here now, because DS itself has been here for 60 years now, but they have used it in a different kind of way then. So I think it's actually a good step. Or what's your opinion on that one, on this particular strategy? And I asked you in the beginning already, have you changed your opinion now after seeing everything here from the exterior, interior and the driving? Would you rather buy a DS than a Citroen? I think that's the very exciting question, and I think we should solve this question in the comments. In general, well, besides the front grille, not so much of the exterior change, but I think it's a quite dramatic exterior already, very elegant also. I think it's kind of unique in the car segment here, especially in the compact segment. I think it's also very interesting that they say we don't make a sport version, we make a luxury version here in the compact segment. The interior is also very unique, as we've seen, especially with this cockpit style. It's not good for the overview, but it is very good for the design. About driving, well, the hybrid is a nice concept in general, but I really not think very effective. We still had a quite high consumption, leading towards 10 liters here for the diesel. So I cannot recommend the diesel nor the hybrid. The hybrid is just so expensive and there is no plug-in function. So what use is there really? I think hardly any. So I would really recommend the petrol engine, and even maybe the stronger petrol engine that is coming later this year with 210 horsepower. Because also diesel in combination to the automatic gearbox, it takes some time to switch the gears, and then you have this... Not really satisfied with that one. But the general driving is quite comfortable actually if you don't hammer the throttle, so it's really set on the comfort. So it's a car to relax. Of course, if you want to have more space in the interior, you have to go for the C4. This one is more this caged-in cockpit feeling, but it also has its own charm. So, thank you very much for watching Autogefühl here with Thomas. Looking forward to your comments on the car, on the facelift here, on the strategy and everything else. And I hope I'll see you also at the next Autogefühl episode.